Why hello there. Welcome to the second episode of BioTubers, part 2 out of 3. I'm Joshy, and today's inflated ego is Joe Smith. Now I doubt that this is his actual name, because it sounds like a pseudonym. Because let's face it, if you live in an English-speaking country, there's a chance there's at least one Joe Smith in your street right now. Even if you live on the roadside of an Australian speedway. Okay, since there are millions of Joe Smiths, what makes this one so special? What distinguishes him? This Joe Smith wants to make an Inika movie. Wait, no, a Fantoka movie. A Toa Mari movie? Fuck it! Bionicle movie. This Joe Smith wants to make Bionicle movie. My original plan for this guy was to go the same path I took with Leserax, looking at his less than mediocre renders, talking about how he animates like a jackass, and then going over other smaller flaws, but something got in my way, because while I was still working on the episode about Leserax, I was contacted by a person who used to work for Joe Smith, and I got some spicy inside info. So I pestered him for some weeks and got out the things I wanted to know. And yes, I asked him if he wanted his name mentioned, and he said he'd like to remain anonymous. Which I will respect, and I can understand in this fuck of a fandom. So what I'll do instead is take a look at some of his renders, then we'll look at his animation, and I'll add some of that spicy info that really shows how incompetent he truly is in the end, because what you can publicly see is only scratching the surface of the barrel of shit. Originally, he piqued my interest with his advertising of his in-the-works Inika movie featuring these beautiful faces. Now, get out your Vazoks and Harleys, and look how accurate to the molds these models are, especially the faces. Please, tell me this is not accurate. And if you say they don't look that much alike, hand them to your infant sibling and let him chew on it for a few hours, because that's the only way I can describe his modeling abilities. His sets are usually made out of pre-existing meshes from LDD or stud.io or other such things, and any parts that don't exist there, he has to make himself, of course. Problem is, most of these parts have many organic shapes mixed with flat surfaces, and he seems to rush his models so much that there is no transition between those parts. And they look like molded out of chewed gum in the end. Also, please don't ask me what's wrong with these images looking crunchy as all fuck. One friend who does 3D renders said he had weird settings in the lighting, another said it's just low quality rushed render. It's probably both. From what I've been told, and I could gather myself, he likes to present more than he likes to work on things. I mean, same here, I like showing off my works in progress, and the moment I put a video in editing, I have an urge to get it done on the same day, though I don't always, get that result. But at least I render my videos in 720p, and watch them to make sure there aren't any errors. Meanwhile, Joe Smith can't even be bothered to connect things correctly. And yes, that is supposed to be Lesovic. Meanwhile, that is Harley. Big difference. His animation apparently isn't all too bad according to my source, and the little GIFs he does and posts sometimes are pretty okay, but then there are some of his videos, which I'm not sure if it's intentionally bad.
On the island of Martin Louis, the Rothschild are rising. Beware of the shadows. It's on the box.
And no, this was not made in Gmod. That guy actually uses Blender to make this shit. And the sad thing is, before I could archive him, he already had some of his videos privated so nobody could see him, or maybe deleted them. Heck if I know. And I swear, one of them started with an announcement for the Disney Channel. I'm not bullshitting you. He keeps balancing on the line between wanting to be serious about his projects and making very terrible shitposts. And they're all terrible. He sounds like a bunch of rejected, terrible advertisements no company would want. And for his animation not being all that terrible, that only goes for his mediocre 3D stuff. Because now he's been dabbling in the art of 2D and, he calls it anime. But I'd call an airstrike. These sketches have the quality of something that doesn't even belong on a storyboard. Well, now then, since we have seen the two grand talents he has, you will get an introduction to what he uses them for and what happened while he was, while everyone else was working on his movie. The entire shit show started basically around the time I noticed it starting, with him advertising his Inika movie with the wonky posters. Because he first started a project that was only focusing on the first third of the Ignition arc, and he asked for people to help him. And so he got himself a fine little team together, and they all worked on assembling models and modeling pieces they didn't have, while Joe Smith was off somewhere else making stupid shitposts with his own terrible models, which we already addressed are low quality as all fuck. Unrelated to anything, look at this cool gif, and here's this lol random story, and what? Oh, my project, yeah! Stay tuned for the Inika movie coming to cinema soon, really soon. And if you think that's all that he said, we'll do a thing, and he did nothing. It goes downhill from here, because all of a sudden, he was looking for voice actors for characters that were not really involved in the Ignition story whatsoever. Something his team wasn't aware of. So what, he changed his plans. But wait! There's more! While all of his team were modeling their asses off on Lego parts, one of his team members found out that he was stashing away already finished meshes for the Lego parts they were working on recreating. Well, isn't that a surprise? The sneaky fucker hid away parts. Meanwhile, he is all about getting shit done fast. And after Joe got his ass called out, he basically fled and the project continued without him because he didn't really have any input in it anyway. Until a while back, my contact told me Joe got into the project discords and was all like, I'm worried about the pace of work and shit like that. What he was more worried about was probably that he may not have any credit in the project anymore, which this cheap ass doesn't deserve. Pace of work, my ass. This guy doesn't know a project takes time to finish. Look at this shit. This is a work-in-progress model for Brutaka by a member of the project, and this is how Joe Smith did it. Why recreate a complex, unique, recognizable set build, when you can simply layer 5 Paraka torsos on each other and say, it's Brutaka? Why would you want it to be accurate when you can just shit it all out in one session with no effort whatsoever, right? It's most important that it's finished, not that it looks good. At least that's what I get from Joe as his work ethic. You can't just wait a few hours to render a scene. You gotta get it done. Quick! I need 12 people to render something for me, so I can finally show off. That's how you make quality content, definitely. That's not how you become a jackass in others' eyes or anything. When people start doing something, they usually have expectations of it being easier, be it riding a motorcycle, creating music and videos, or killing yourself with a rope. There's always that moment of, I imagined it going smoother and it wouldn't take that long. And Joe is still in that mindset that he could complete something within a few hours and it'll look amazing. When indeed you're just very proud of having made something for the first time. He's in denial and he's not gonna improve because, once again, everyone is too retarded to point his flaws out. I swear it's like nobody but me can criticize people in this fuckfest of a community. And now he deletes his shame like the sneaky son of a bitch he is because, oh, someone may be onto him and his bullshit. And I am. And I did it because if this doesn't show that Joe is full of shit and he deserves none of the credit when his project is finished, then I don't know what will. Maybe next time he should learn something where he knows the result will satisfy him first try. Like maybe just editing videos. Or hanging himself with a rope. Join me again next episode. Which I don't know when I'll have time to make it because university is starting for me pretty soon and I hope I'll get done faster than the next person. Because we'll bring you a man with a fail-safe plan of continuing the G1 storyline with respect to all of the story's canon.
Out of the doorway, the bullets rip to the sound of the beat, yeah. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust, hey. Hey, I'm gonna get you too. Another one bites the dust.
Nah!